just breaking through. Radio's playing loud, the show's for me and you. Learn how to book your loads and make that money flow. Keep the shiny side up wherever we go. Set your own schedule, master of the road. Hauling Freedom's cargo, lightening up your load. Tips and tricks for truckers, yeah, we're helping you. From dawn till dusk, we'll see it through. Staying driven hard in it every mile. Hunting gears and wearing a smile. From hustling 60 truckers, yeah, we're helping you. From dawn till dusk, we'll see it through. Staying driven hard in every mile. Hunting gears and wearing a smile. From hustling city streets to the country lane. Driven truck, yeah, we ease the strain. Brother, sister, keep your eyes on that line. From sunrise to moonshine. Owner operators, this show's for you. Tune in, get tips, and roll on through. From diesel fumes to mountain views, we'll guide your way. Hauling grit and glory every single day. On the rubber, feel the freedom in every bend. Driven trucking, your best highway friends. Staying driven hard in it every mile. Hunting gears and wearing a smile. From hustling 60 truckers, yeah, we're helping you. From dawn till dusk, we'll see it through. Staying driven hard in every mile. Hunting gears and wearing a smile. From hustling city streets to the country lane. Driven truck, yeah, we ease the strain. Ease the strain. Stay driven.
Morning. How you guys doing today? Hope you had a good weekend. Yes, I'm live. I decided that it's the last day of the month, right? We're going to start fresh tomorrow with recordings, so be looking out for that. Also, if you're catching this on the replay, skip ahead to or go down to the comments. There's a timestamp where the trucking market update actually starts. But hang around for a minute because I'm about to go on a bit of a rant. I don't know. I feel like it's necessary. I just read this comment about, I don't know, 10 minutes ago, and I've been talking to myself for 10 minutes. And it was somebody that was they were watching the playback of one of the streams, and they said, why are you not showing the load board in a load board video? And like, I've been going back and forth with how to deal with this in my head because I don't want to offend him too much. But like, if you're watching this or if you happen to catch this in the future, I'm about to offend you. I hope I don't offend you if you're not an owner operator yet, because if you're not an owner operator yet, that means that you just don't understand, right? But if you are an owner operator and you're asking that question, I'd be willing to bet that you're hardly making any money because you just flat don't understand. Like, it's plain, like, I can't put it any more plainly than that. Like, you just don't get it. So let me spell it out for you. And I'm not talking to you guys that are sitting here watching this live because you come back all the time, right? Like, yeah, I'm preaching to the choir. So I apologize. You got to listen to this, but like, I gotta teach the people that like don't understand or are too dumb to understand. Like, sometimes you just got to do it. If you're not making an extra 10% from this stream on like keeping your money at the end of the year, as well as making more money, if you're not making an additional 10%, watching this stream, or at least have the capacity to understand the information that I'm providing can make you 10% more on your bottom line at the end of the year, like you're doing something wrong, and you're asking the wrong questions. The right question that gentleman should have asked is, why is he not showing the load board on a load board video? Number one, like, this is not a load board video. That's not what I'm doing here, right? I am providing the information that you need to run your business more efficiently. Because make no mistake, you're not just a truck driver anymore. If you own a truck, you are a business owner, and you need to look at it and operate accordingly. You need this information to place your truck, to not get stuck, to make the most money, and to keep the most money. Like, the people that are not watching this stream or have been doing it for a long time, they're successful. This is what they do almost every day. They look at all of this information, because it's also a changing environment. The trucking industry changes every day, every week, every month. Like, there's a lane right now, the end of the week. If you've been watching the stream for the past few weeks and you're not running up to Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin for a load headed out at the end of the week up there, like, you may not want to run that lane. That's fine. But like, if your goal is to maximize the money, why are you not running that lane? I've been talking about it for like 3 or 4 weeks. Minus the hiatus that I took for a week and a half because I got a new computer. But like, some people, like, do you want me to dispatch your truck for you too? You want me to come out there and drive it for you too? You want me to just do everything for you? Killing me. Anyway, for those of you that are still watching, I see that I lost a bunch of viewers. I honestly, I don't care. I do not care. Like, if that just offended you, show yourself out the door, because I don't care. I'm going to tell you like it is. I'm not going to be PC on this, on this stream. I'm not going to be PC on this channel. It's my freaking channel, right? And I'm more than willing to help whoever wants it, needs it, asks for it. But if you show blind ignorance, I'm probably going to roast you. Just know that, right? Just know that. Anyway, I'm sorry you guys had to listen to that. That one, I don't know. That one just, like, for some reason, maybe it's the lack of sleep, but like, that one just stuck in my side, and I was like, you know what? I gotta address this today. So now we got that out of the way. I know y'all probably love a good roast. Hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully I wasn't too terribly harsh on them, but it is what it is. Like, but businesses have entire departments that are dedicated solely to looking at numbers. Solely. You're running a business, act accordingly. All right, moving on. If you enjoyed that, hit the thumbs up. If you're about to enjoy this dad joke, hit the thumbs up. I would appreciate it. What do you call a hippie's wife? Mississippi. I'll be honest, I don't even get that one. Alrighty. The Hossicle. I like your name. Good morning. Aunt Cool. I'm still here and very much value your experience and knowledge. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching it. Tarella, I hope I said that right. I'm not an owner operator, but these streams always have great info. Thank you so much. It's truly, the point of this stream is to, all I'm doing is just analyzing the market, right? And I'm just telling you where, like, good paying freight is, where you should just book a load to get the heck out of there. Like, I've got a decent memory, so I can typically tell you, what states are doing what as compared to a couple days, couple weeks, sometimes a couple months ago. But like, these are things that owner operators should be doing almost daily. And it's like, I know you got a lot going on out there, So it's just, like I'm just providing a service. I'm not doing anything special. Showing the actual load board is kind of pointless, right? Because I could show 100 cities and probably not get the majority of the cities of where you guys are at. Sure, I can cover all the big markets, right? And that's what Sammy used to do. But like at the same time, Sammy didn't just show cities, he would show kind of what the freight volume is. So I took what he did and like kind of just leveled it up a little bit, right? I'm telling you what truck to load ratio is and kind of how they compare into days and weeks past. And nothing against what Sammy did. He did a great thing. Matter of fact, if it wasn't for him, like I probably wouldn't even be doing this. But regardless, it just thank you for watching. Number one, and yeah, I think that it provides value. I was out there doing the same thing that you guys were doing, and I feel like it provides a ton of value. And in my gut, I feel like if like this stream alone, if you weren't doing this before, like you should see a 10% increase on your bottom line at the end of the year. Period. And I will argue anybody that doesn't believe that to the bitter end. So that being said, so we did the dad joke. No updates today, I don't think. Like other than tomorrow, we're swapping over to pre-records. I've got my weekly video that I'm working on. I got to work on that today. I got a bunch of stuff to do around the house too. So kind of loaded up. Let's go ahead. We're gonna dive right in. We're gonna get the show rolling. I did. Yes, thank you. I unmuted the mic. I still have trauma from a couple of the streams where I did that. We're gonna get right into the weather update. There's a little bit of rain over here, over what is that, Virginia, West Virginia, and Kentucky area. So kind of watch out for that. I really don't see much else. Florida, it's got some rain down there, but it doesn't look too bad. And over the next couple of days, not much. Looks like there might be something, not really, moving in from the northwest. It could build up, but the very northeast, that what's hanging out kind of over there in the middle of the east, looks like it's going to move to the northeast, maybe even cover some of the Midwest up there in Michigan. So not a whole lot as far as weather's concerned, but certainly keep an eye on it wherever you're headed. So I like to start with the national load counts. What this tells us, this gives us a general idea of what the states are doing, and this is an overview, right? So if you look at, for instance, California, it's not going to show the entire. It's just going to tell you how the state is doing overall, but that we're going to look at the individual markets here in a few minutes to break it down to show you where to actually position your truck. But this is a great place to start because this gives us a nice barometer of what's going on. Alabama, 800 loads in to 505 loads out. That's a little bit down from normal. There's a lot of trucks going to Alabama, so that's interesting. Arkansas, 410 loads in, 482 loads out. Okay, that's okay for Arkansas. Arizona, 617 loads in. Fantastic. Interesting, not fantastic. To 305 loads out. That's actually up on volume a little bit for Arizona. So, I mean, Arizona is never a good state, but if you happen to be headed that way, maybe you can sneak out of there. California, 2,134 loads in to 2,558 loads out. That's going to be up on the volume. That's going to be up on the volume considerably, especially from last week and over the last couple of months. And that was the trend that we saw towards the end of the last week, was that just freight across the states is increasing. So as supply increases, so shall demand, and that means more money for everybody. So I know y'all are excited about that. 492 loads it into Colorado versus 300 loads out. That's actually not bad for Colorado, surprisingly. Connecticut, 291 loads into 162 loads out. Pretty normal. DC has 5 loads going out of there. That's a bump of 250%. Wow. Delaware, 66 loads in to 55 loads out. Not much to say. Florida, 2,898 loads in to 958 loads out. The volume is up, if you can say that, but only a third of those trucks that are actually headed there, that doesn't even include the ones that are parked, have a load to get out of there. So whew, just avoid Florida at all costs if you can. Georgia, wow, 2,281 loads headed that way versus 1,804 loads coming out. Now, yes, that's below that 50-50 mark, but that is a huge boost in volume for Georgia, and we're getting close to that 50-50 mark. So hopefully that trend continues. We'll see. Iowa, 529 loads in to 513 loads out. Iowa had been a solid state for negotiation past few weeks, but it seems to be just kind of leveling out. So keep an eye on that. If that was your honey hole, may not have as much negotiating power over there in Iowa. Idaho, 107 loads in to 245 loads out. That's their first Northwestern state, and that's really solid for Idaho. Illinois, 1,779 loads in to 2,185 loads out. That's up on the volume as well. Not massively, but it is a move in the right direction, and it is above that 50-50 mark. So hopefully that Chicago market starts to really pick up, and you guys can just wear out the Middle East. Indiana, 1,102 loads in to 1,567 loads out. That's pretty good, right? Volume's up a little bit. Indiana had been really solid for a while, and kind of fell off last week, but it looks like it's moving in the right direction. We'll see later in the week. Kansas, 333 loads in to 434 loads out. That's good for Kansas. Not bad. Kentucky, 723 loads in to 950 loads out. That's definitely a move in the right direction. They have been below 50-50 or even hovering around 50-50. So Kentucky seems to be lighting up. Louisiana, 434 loads in to 496 out. That's good for Louisiana. See how the trend continues throughout the week. Massachusetts, 527 loads in, 322 loads out. Pretty normal, par for the course. Maryland, 604 loads in to 490 loads out. Now that's cooled off a bit. They had been about that 50-50 mark, so not great. That's broker's advantage in Maryland. Maine, 105 loads in, 154 loads out. They're pushing some freight up there. They're probably paying well, and they're probably not used to truck drivers negotiating up there, but you can certainly do it at the moment. That's a 50%. There are 50% more loads than there are trucks. Simple supply and demand. Michigan, 814 loads in to 879 loads out. Now, that's okay, right? We're at that 50-50 mark, but those northern states, that the lane that I was talking about running earlier, it picks up later in the week. It's not great at the start, but if you can wind up there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you should be in really good shape as far as good paying freight. Minnesota, 613 loads in, 603 loads out. Same story, about 50-50. Missouri, 674 loads in, 1,054 loads out. Very solid. That's way up. Missouri is hit or miss, right? Right now, it's hitting. Mississippi, 363 loads in, 424 loads out. Very, very solid. Montana, 61 loads in, 76 loads out. North Carolina, 1,628 loads in, 1,464 out. Once again, volume is up. Even though it's below that 50-50 mark, that's as good as we've seen for North Carolina, pretty much. North Dakota, 82 loads in, 124 loads out. It's cooling off a little bit. I think we were seeing loads out about that 150 mark-ish. We're still above that 50-50, so not bad, but you're losing negotiating power in North Dakota. Nebraska, 234 loads in to 236 loads out. That's amazing. But volume's not up, so don't get too excited. New Hampshire, 131 loads in, 56 loads out. It's normal. Jersey, 932 loads in, 1,378 loads out. Volume's down a little bit, but you're well above that 50-50 mark, but you're not going to have a lot of negotiating power in Jersey, so not great. New Mexico, 118 loads in to 203 loads out. Surprising. Nevada, 287 loads in to 313 loads out. So that's cooling off a little bit. You're getting closer to that 50-50 mark. You had some negotiating power in Nevada, somewhat. Really, the only direction the Nevada freight moves is all the way back to the east or just straight back to California. So there's not really a whole lot of negotiating power going on in Nevada, especially at that load to truck ratio. New York, 986 loads in to 1,107 loads out. So that's down in volume for sure. Not great for the Northeast. Ohio, 1,626 loads in, 2,313 loads out. That's solid, right? You have a little bit of negotiating power in Ohio, but usually the freight just pays decent. So not bad. Oklahoma, 558 loads in, 292 loads out. They have just been consistently bad. So hopefully you're just not headed to Oklahoma. Oregon, 221 loads in, 519 loads out. Northwest holding strong and lots of negotiating power up there. Make your money up there, especially before it starts. Like if you're a snowbird, get up there to the Northwest and get the heck out before it starts snowing. You can make good money up there. Pennsylvania, 1,875 loads in, 2,473 loads out. So very solid at the moment. We'll see how the week progresses. Sometimes PA holds on and gets stronger. Sometimes it falls off. We'll see what kind of week this is. Rhode Island, 104 loads in, 44 loads out. South Carolina, 707 loads in, 1,057 loads out. So volume is up a little bit over there. And that's just kind of par for the course for South Carolina. But because Georgia and because North Carolina are just not in great shape, you don't have a lot of negotiating power in South Carolina, despite the load to truck ratio. South Dakota, 75 loads in to 91 loads out. Kind of the same story as North Dakota. It's just holding there, like no better, no worse. Tennessee, 1,095 loads in, 1,081 loads out. So that's up, even though we're below 50-50, that's still up. Texas, I don't see how every single week there are more loads headed in than there are, or like just more and more and more and more people headed to Texas. 4,128 loads in. That's the highest number I've seen. To 2,665 loads out. You're gonna take a whooping getting out of Texas. Like it just is what it is. If you're headed this way, don't stay here. Don't try to negotiate. Just get the heck out. Always ask for it. When I say that, always ask for it. But don't get stuck. Utah, 415 loads in to 321 loads out. That's a little down. Virginia, 976 loads in to 864 loads out. So volume's up a little bit, but still well below that 50-50 mark. Vermont, 26 loads in, 64 loads out. Washington, 373 loads in to 521 loads out. Now, that's more trucks headed to Washington than typical, but it's a slight bump in volume for loads. So not bad, not an increase, so to speak. Oregon had an increase, but that whole Northwest right now, it's doing really well. Wisconsin is starting off the week great and likely will just even get better as the week goes on if if patterns stay the same. Something else to keep in mind: honey holes dry up, right? And that's why you have to continually study the markets, because they're ever changing. And just because you found a good spot doesn't mean that it's going to continue to stay that way. So that's why you always have to study the load boards, understand where you need to go, and just keep moving, right? And then we've got West Virginia, 156 loads in, 172 loads out, and then Wyoming, 58 loads in to 117 loads out. So overall, we're still seeing a move in the right direction. It's slow, right? It's slow, but if it continues, everybody's going to be making more money, and that'd be great, right? So looking at the trend lines. So it is Monday, so we are going to look at these totally. Spot load posts week over week from last week to the week before, down 4.8%, which I just don't understand. But okay, is what it is. For compared to the previous year, it's negative 19.6%, which is it was closer to 20%. So not bad. It's a slight increase, but not great. Van load to truck, negative 0.8%. So that's also moving in the right direction. That was as high as in the 3%, negative 3%. And, it's just working its way towards the positive. So hopefully we get there soon. As far as August this year compared to last year, negative 8.4%. That is certainly a move in the right direction. The spot rates, it's about the same. It's a negative 0.8%, and compared to last year, it's only down 3.5%. Also a move in the right direction. Flatbed loaded trucks, we're increasing. We have it. Sorry, you're increasing 3.3% week over week increase. And then compared to last year, you're up 19%, 19.1%. So flatbedders are making all the money at the moment. Reefers are going in the wrong direction. I imagine most of you are probably parked right now, but it's negative 9.2% for volume, as opposed to last year, negative 8.3%. And the spot rates are down a percent and a half, and then they're down 3.6% from last year. So this is the average national spot rates. So spot rates continue to slide seasonally. Yeah, it's all pretty normal, right? As for September, we're going to finish out at about down 3 pennies from August to $1.98. Flatbeds down 2 pennies from 241 to 239, and then reefers down 2 pennies down to 238 on average. And then fuel prices, just across the board, across the nation, the average is $3.53 per gallon. Whew, November can't get here fast enough, right? Alrighty. Oh, now we're on prior business day. Let's go to current business day. This is the what I was talking about, these particular markets. So you can see on the left side of the screen, the easiest market, basically the most real estate, is California to see, right? So the red is good, blue is bad, yellow's average, and then you've got the in-betweens, the in-between shades. So you can see in California, red, you've got the southernmost part, of course, it's just always red. If that's not red, we're all in trouble, likely. And then the San Francisco market is still hot. And then it's actually showing some freight up there in the north, but definitely don't trust that because there's just not a lot of freight over there. Looking up in the northwest, you can see a larger portion of Oregon is now red. Like I said, it's heating up. Of course, you've got the Portland area, but the bottom half is actually showing to be hot too. So that's good. Seattle, like I said, it wasn't a great move in the right direction for Washington, but it was still in a good spot. But as you can see, it's cooled off. So not super hot. But you do have the rest of Washington about average. So Northwest, really good area right now. Nevada is just average across the board. Over the week, it's likely going to cool off. It's going to be light blue or even blue. Phoenix, just don't, right? Even though it's showing average, that's deceptive. New Mexico, also another don't. Even though it's showing hot, it's in the north. The freight's in the northern half of the state. If you trust that, I don't. I wouldn't. Texas, Houston, don't. The freight in Texas is in Houston. So if you are headed this way, you're likely going to need to get to Houston or even the southern half of Louisiana to get out of here. That said, don't bounce for no reason if you're going to Dallas. Just get in, get out, move on with your life, and try not to look at the bottom line. Right there in the Arkansas area, the Arkansas is looking good. It's showing the majority of the state, but the majority of that freight's over there in the Little Rock market. And you can see that even the Memphis market for Tennessee is a bit red, a bit hot. So if you're headed that way, hopefully it is to Little Rock or Memphis. You're going to see a pattern here. If you're new to this and you're watching every week, there's a pattern here, right? It's starting to show, huh? Kansas City. It's in good shape if you're in the flyover states. Hopefully it's the Kansas City area because the Kansas City area is where the freight's at. the northern part of the Midwest. So this is where I'm saying wind up later in the week, right? If trends continue, right? If trends continue as they have been the past few weeks. But right now, these states are actually showing hot. They're showing hot and even average, whereas normally they're not this early in the week. So it's a really good, that's really good showing for these states, for the Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota states. For the Minnesota states, it's on the eastern half and mostly southeastern because it's going to be around Minneapolis. It's normal. Wisconsin, the freight is showing the freight not to be in the Green Bay area, but over in the on the western half. So over there, kind of by Minneapolis. But even the bottom half of the state is a little bit above average. And then, of course, down there, Illinois, you've got all the freight's going to be right there in Chicago. That's not a surprise. And then in Michigan, also not a surprise. It's in the western half. So looking down at the Midwest, the freight is in the Chicago area, and it's down there. And I mean, that's a weird spot for it to be hot. I certainly wouldn't trust that. It's showing kind of the middle of Kentucky and the southernmost tip of Indiana, which is oh, what is that? Louisville. It's just okay for freight. That's not don't trust that. That's not great. Ohio, you've got the majority of the freight is going to be on the western half, which is pretty normal. A lot of times, though, Ohio is entirely red. So, given the fact that it's not entirely red, but Ohio, if you remember back, was in a very good spot above that 50-50 mark. There's probably some really good paying freight up there in the northeastern side. So you should be able to make really good money and probably even negotiate if you're up there. However, looking at Pennsylvania, so the entirety of Pennsylvania is hot. That's solid. The freight, what's in Maryland, is going to be in the northern, like the northeastern part. Delaware's showing to be red, but it was below par. So, unless I'm remembering incorrectly, which is not out of the question. And then you've got Jersey. It's showing the entire state of Jersey is red. I don't trust that. I think that typically the freight's in the northern half. But I mean, if you're running over there, you probably know. And then you've got New York. It's showing the freight to be up there, kind of in the Buffalo area or even the northern half. I wouldn't go to the northeast. There's not a ton of freight up there, despite it warming up just a little bit. So that is the trucking market update. That is the knowledge, the what you should be like. If you're not tuning in the stream, these are the things that you should be looking at every week, every day. Figure it out. Like, where's the good paying freight? Where can you negotiate? Where can you not? Where do you need to just grab a load? Where do you need to sit? Right? Like, sometimes you just need to sit. I don't advocate that very much, but occasionally, like let's say you went up to you're in Michigan, right? And it's Wednesday. And you got up, you kicked the load off, and you looked at the boards, and it's just not there. Like, it's just not a load worth running. That's an area where I would probably wait. I'd probably just take the day off, go eat a fried chicken at the Petro, and just relax and wait for the next day. But like, if I'm in, I don't know, Houston, for instance, and I'm trying to get out, I'm booking the first load that I call on that's available. I'm not playing games if I'm in Houston. But if I'm not seeing, or if the brokers aren't working with me up there in Michigan, then I'll probably just wait them out. Fine. And your load can just sit there an extra day. And it's not, is somebody else going to run that particular load? Maybe. But if your truck's not moving, that means one of those loads is not moving. That means that the supply in that area is going to go up. Just, it's just one load. You're looking at it like it's just one load. But if everybody's negotiating, if everybody's holding out, then that's when the demand really goes up and they have to pay more. They just don't have an option. So hopefully we can all, the truck drivers can just all band together and get these rates up where they should be. I mean, if flatbed rates are down from last year, but volume's up 20%, like, does that make any sense? No, doesn't make any sense at all. Well, I'm trying to do my little part in helping out. You can do your part by, putting other people on to the stream. It's always gonna stay here on YouTube because this is just my baby. This is where I started. But more realistically, I think that it's gonna be best suited for like a podcast, like just a listen type situation, especially given the way that I talk and kind of the information that I'm providing. You really just need to listen and hear. And I know I keep talking about it, but I'm looking to fire that up. Um, Hopefully by next week, if not at least in the next couple of weeks. But I need recorded versions in order to yank the audio from to post, right? So that's also a large part of the reason why I'm switching to pre-recorded videos for these. So this will likely, I'm not saying it's going to be the last live stream because like stuff just happens. Like if it's the morning or if I'm sick or, I've got kids, I've got dogs who's staring at me because he wants to go out. Like, there's all kinds of things. And it's super easy for me to just fire up a live and do this, rather than sit down for 3 hours that it takes to put together a pre-recorded video. So they're not saying that they're done, but few and far between, starting tomorrow. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. What's up, Dixie? Hassicle says, "Hey, Mrs. Hippie." The joke. Yeah. So thanks, guys. Thanks for sitting through my little rant earlier. If you missed it, you can go back. It's not like I completely roasted somebody. But at the same time, that's just ignorance. It's just ignorance showing through, right? And I don't know if it's ignorance from lack of experience or if it's ignorance just for ignorance sake, but it's one of those two things, certainly. And just make sure you're asking the right questions. Why do people do things? I'm curious. I'm just curious by nature. And the first 3 months of me being a truck driver, people probably were afraid to walk next to me in a truck stop because I was asking everybody all kinds of questions. And when I ask one question, like even if I get the same answer 3 times in a row, I'm still going to ask 10 people, 20 people, because every once in a while you get a different perspective. And is that different perspective going to work for you? Maybe, maybe not. But it gets you to thinking in a different way. And if you continually think in a different way and you think creatively, you're going to, it's the neuroplasticity in your brain. I mean, we can get real nerdy if you want to, but it's just the best way to live life. Just be curious, ask questions, but ask the right questions. Don't ask me. We're not going there. Anyway, love you guys. I appreciate it. Keep the shiny side up. As always, though, stay driven. See y'all later.